Hello to all of our friends at Lloyds Bank at your marketing conference. We've got a bit of a surprise for you today, talking to you about video amplification. We thought we'd come down here today to Wasps Rugby Club. Wasps, who currently running second in the Aviva Premiership, having a fantastic European Champions Cup, major summer signings in Danny Cipriani, Willie LaRue, Curtly Beale, and really enjoying their position as a Midlands powerhouse of rugby. But we're not down here to talk to any of these new stars. We're down here to talk to an old Wasps favourite, none other than James Haskell, the England international, 70 caps under his belt. And we're here to talk to him, not about his rugby days, but about James Haskell Health and Fitness, his own personal brand that he has built up using video amplification, content marketing, social media, all to drive purchasers to buy his online products from him. And James is going to join us and we're going to have a chat with him outside, and actually he's over here now. Let's go and grab him.
Hello.
All right, Hask, how you doing, mate?
Trying to break into my car, were you?
Oh, I was trying to break in. Let me introduce you to Sherry, my business partner.
How you doing?
Good
Nice
to meet you.
You all right?
Yeah, very good. Good to meet you.
Fantastic. Let's go and have a chat.
Okay guys, it's taken me a year to write, but it is finally here. The most comprehensive introduction to rugby fitness. Making sure I look after myself. Done a little video because those of you going to the Rico, the best book in the world is available. Do you bring me a coffee? No. Why is that? Why would you not bring me one?
You won't like it.
Whoa! Don't tell people that because we've kind of bonded.
I'm not.
Yeah, mate, come on. Well, we're good mates. I'm used to saying
Usually says what?
Business. Normally says business or private.
You're always strictly business.
Strictly business, but it's got a how do you pronounce that?
Economy, mate.
A what? Oh, and what are we expecting in Bondi today?
A bit of self-promotion from you.
Whoa!
To the first part of the session, which is a very key mobility focused format.
Yeah, definitely, James. We're going to start you from the ground up.
For me to get into, I'm not arching my back. If you've got stability problems with your lower back, this is something that can help that. You can raise the blocks up as much as you want. Just rig out. Okay. Best mate. He spoke to him behind reception. He said, "Let's get a seat next to me," didn't you? Me and Owen, we're best mates.
Owen doesn't even like you, babe.
You obviously know who you look like, don't you?
No.
You must get told all the
No,
time.
I don't look anything like Michael McIntyre.
You do, 100%, mate. What position do you used to play?
In the centre, yeah. But it's quite funny sponsoring them, you know, and I sort of go down there and see a lot of my old mates and stuff down there.
Do they
But
give you banter about looking like Michael McIntyre?
no, they've never mentioned it.
I don't understand how how it hasn't happened.
No, Michael McIntyre has never been someone that I've been mistaken for. I can
well, I
warrant that is the truth.
I can't believe it. You even dress like him.
I'm dressed like Michael McIntyre.
Yeah,
These are
smart,
my best outfits.
I'd call it a little bit fruity, but I like it.
Bit fruity, bit fresh.
I like
and
it.
fruity.
I like it.
You know what us advertising agency guys are like, Hask?
Conor McGregor said it's the attention's in the details. You've got little details. I like it.
Well, James, it's wonderful to see you again, mate. After our last little night out at the Belfry Sporting Club and a few beers, and we listened about your life then.
Well, I was on mineral waters. You
weren't on mineral waters. I think those were some very large pint-looking mineral water glasses.
They weren't. You can't damage my
No way.
elite sport reputation. I think they were. I think it was soda water and limes actually.
No, that was a lager.
Mate,
It was.
Listen, I'm not having this.
Well, thank you very much for joining us here today. And talk us about the toe. How's it getting on?
Yeah, it's good. It's taking its time, obviously. I ran for the first time today, which was good. Doing a lot of pull work, doing a lot of pull recovery. I saw the surgeon. It's fully healed, which is good. It's just pain management at the moment, learning to run again, learning to, sidestep. Not that I ever could sidestep before. Well, I think you find if you watch the Australian test, I actually stepped the full back. Sure. So, well, I think you did. Probably got on your highlight reel on your computer, along with pictures of me in your bedroom. It's been repaired now, and I'm confident it's going to be good, and hopefully looking to be back in December.
Well, it's wonderful to hear about your rugby exploits. You know, I know a lot about following you, and you've got the most amazing career. You know, 70 caps, the amount of clubs you played for, and you're back here at your home club of Wasps, where you started and made your name. But today we're talking to our friends at Lloyds Bank about video amplification and film amplification. So this is about how do you develop a strategy for not only creating good video, but how do you engage with an audience? How do you use film to market your products? And when we met and I was talking to you, and I just sort of thought, well, you've got such a fantastic brand outside of rugby with James Haskell Health and Fitness, and how you use video and film. And I wonder if you can just talk to us a little bit this morning about your own brand, about how you use film and how you use it to sell your products and services?
I think it's an interesting one for us because, like most companies, obviously, Lloyd's is an established brand. They know exactly what they're doing. But a lot of people, when they're starting out, they have a concept and an idea, and they go about doing it, and they learn, obviously, through trial and error. And our social media has been very much like that. We had an idea. We wanted to share things. I knew I enjoyed making videos. Perhaps I didn't have the strategy and tactics to deliver them. We tried lots of different things, and it kind of boiled down to being authentic in everything you do. And I don't want to get into too media speak because I have to sit on the end of it a lot of the time, and sometimes it just means nonsense, and people say authenticity, but it's got to be something that you enjoy doing. You have to be passionate about it. You have to have your own style. I think often I have the freedoms that a lot of corporate companies and people like the RFU and WASP don't have, because they have to be all things to all men, but I don't. I'm never going to be portrayed as whiter than white. It's not who I am. So all the videos I try to do are an insight into people. They're generally what I do. They're how I am. I've created a persona that I enjoy putting out there. And I think that video is a great medium because it enables you to deliver message very clearly for people. People's attention spans are disappearing down the toilet these days. Everyone's got a mobile phone, everyone has had their faces glued to it. Kids, all they do is stare at phones these days, and you've got to create content that's digestible, that's attractive straight away, that's engaging, and you kind of have to be strong in what you want to deliver and keep hammering it home and give it time to sink in, because if you listen to people, they say, right, videos 2 minutes, 15 minutes, be a vlog, do this, make sure you got your end cards, make sure you brand it, and the point is that for some people that works and it's great. For other people it doesn't, and you've got to do trial and error. You've got to also find the social media platforms that really work for you. There's no point trying to do things on all platforms, because our YouTube channel, I think we create some amazing content, but it's our slowest builder in all the places we go. Our Facebook, who I didn't really think was going to go anywhere, leapt up to 100,000 likes on it. We get our biggest engagement on there. And since I started creating this authentic content where I was doing stuff to direct to camera, where I was giving people insights behind, people were buying into it and they saw the different sides of me, it was far more effective than high-end produced stuff. So it's a very interesting medium to use, and it's something that's going to get more and more prevalent. It's something that every business and brand needs to adopt, but it is a minefield if you don't get it right.
And when you talk about channels specifically, on Instagram you've got 137,000 followers. Do you find, for instance, if you put out a piece of content immediately onto Instagram, you get a spike in sales?
Yeah, so we've obviously looked at all the analytics, and that's such a key part. Now Instagram has their own analytics. Google's obviously been around for a while, covering all sorts of things from your websites. Facebook's just developing those analytics now. They're coming through. So that gives you a massive idea of who you're targeting. The issue is that when you're running a small operation like I am, sometimes trying to adhere to the timings and everything else like that. I know, for example, 5 o'clock on a Tuesday afternoon is my best time to put a video up. Apparently, my market is very male orientated, 90% male, aged 18 to 42. That's my my medium. And I think that we do find that once you get a video that's engaging, that has a kind of, if you have a direct sale thing, so you're like, hi, I'm James Haskell, I've just signed 2,000 copies of my book, they're available now, we get a big intake. If you do something with a kind of a hidden sale in there, you do pick up things, and it's very difficult without being on it all the time to really get an idea of when those spikes come. But certainly when I put a direct sale thing out, we do get an improvement in sales. When I put things out on Instagram that are something engaging, interesting, like we've done a range with budgie smugglers, those swimming trunks, and you go up, you suddenly get sales and interest, and then as people get to your site, that's why your website and platform is so important, because once you attract these people in, then it's whether their user experience is any good. It's amazing how many companies have terrible websites that don't work on phones or iPads, or they don't load properly, or the navigation's terrible, people switch off. We all know how we want to operate. We don't want to read anything anymore. We don't want to sit through pages. We want to get one instant click, one there, one purchase, and we've tried to make sure that's very clear about what we're doing. But even we make mistakes all the time, and I work with my father, who's a completely different generation. to me, who's a lot more meticulous, reads a lot more, and I'm like, Dad, too wordy, get rid of it. It's not right. It needs to be bang, 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 and that's the beauty of Instagram as well. Yes, you've got unlimited characters, you've got to hit them early doors, and there's a bit of that clickbaiting going on, which is, see a naked girl. Actually, it's not a naked girl. It's something else. But you've got to make sure that you do that in the right way, because people switch off. But I do think, when we put on Instagram, we see sales. When we put on Facebook, we see sales. You just have to be constant, because I think if you've got a lot of exposure outside of what you're doing, so you've got exposure to other ways of marketing, then you get a constant flow. For us, it literally is post something, spike. Don't post anything, sales drop off. Post something, spike, and that's the way it goes until you establish yourself as a brand where things are ticking over the whole time. Those videos, those postings, those things become really important.
When you're talking about organic. You're talking about, you've got a great brand, James Haskell. You've got a fantastic following. You've got 140,000 Twitter followers. You've got your brand through your rugby club, through England. Through you being a relatively good-looking bloke, I dare say, when I say relatively, I mean that's against myself, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
But you think I look a bit like Michael McIntyre. I'm not really sure that's true. But anyway, have you tried paid against organic? Do you see a difference with paid media against organic media?
So my experience of paid media is not good. So my father. So I'll give you a couple of examples. Again, different generation gap. Doing health and fitness stuff. He approached a lot of the fitness and health magazines, for example, and he advertised lots of them. Right, obviously didn't pay the exorbitant rates that Men's Health and other people pay, but he paid for some magazines. Not a lot of traction at all. And he was paying these adverts. I said, Dad, look, no one's reading these magazines. What's the story? We don't have this thing. We've tried things like leaflets at events and shows. I just don't think people read leaflets and stuff anymore. I think people, it has to be a pretty captivating thing, and I think we waste a lot of money on those third-party marketing materials. And then when you go on to social media paid stuff, right, our Facebook stuff, we were paying for advertisements. Everyone's saying pay to boost it, right? But we were getting maybe 8,000, 10,000 engagements, 25,000, 27,000 was our most, until I took it over, started being authentic, started doing stuff every day, and we were getting 1 million, 2 million, 200,000 on average, that kind of stuff. And it blew that paid thing out of the water. And with the paid stuff, we didn't see an increase in sales. So I've got a real big bugbear about this, because there's so many companies out there, social media companies, that I genuinely reckon that if I had more time, I could run my own social media company, because you basically turn up, say to people, right, we're going to post on this day, we're going to do that, we're going to get you loads of viewers. Well, it doesn't matter about how many times you view or how many likes you've got or how many friends you've got. If no one's buying the thing, it's not a popularity contest. What's the point of having 2 million if you haven't got 1% engagement? I'd rather have 10,000 and have a 25% engagement, where every time I put something up, people sell. So that's what you've got to do over time, is build that audience, make sure you have a consistent message. And with the paying for stuff, you may go into other areas that you wouldn't have access to normally. And it's obviously, again, down to the scale of your business and how much you're willing to pay and how interesting your content is. But I just don't see the value personally in a lot of this stuff. And I think there's a lot of new money for old rope, a lot of that kind of stuff going on. And I've fallen out with loads of social media companies, because I'm like, listen, I don't understand. You're asking charging us $2,000 a month, whatever it is. What are you doing? Oh, we've increased your thing by 2%. Well, I haven't seen any uplift in sales, I haven't seen any uplift in this, I haven't seen any uplift in comments. You've got a few more people to follow us, and they're probably not the right audience we want anyway. So I'm a bit sceptical. I know lots of people do have benefit and they do see it work, but for me personally, I haven't seen it as a great marketing tool.
Let me just ask you a little bit about video and producing your video, because you, to me, have two very different styles. You've got your H&F, your James Haskell health and fitness brand style, which is very strong, very on message. But then you've got your fantastic, who's your best mate?
Yeah, Owen Farrell. Well, he was actually, but he's not anymore.
But you've got your fantastic banter-based video, which I think that lovely image of you dressed up as an Australian, what do you call it, beach, whatever he was, with the old blonde hair on.
Yeah.
All those sort of videos and stuff. Do you find that there's a good correlation between having some banter videos and your serious ones, and you catch people out almost?
I think it comes down to your strategy again, and the tactics you employ. So we want to be, we want to deliver a health and fitness message which is accessible to everyone, based around some key products. So I want to give you professional advice broken down to your level, right? Cut the crap, be direct, be honest, and go, here's a training. It's actually access for everyone. It's not rocket science. Try and do this. You do this with using some high-end supplements. You do this by using our training guides and everything else like that. And we've got products that are tied in with that. You've also got the other side where I want to go into TV and media work. I really enjoy those kind of videos. Those for me are engaging, profile-raising videos. So what I've tried to do is to find some tactics that mean that we have a hard sell, you have the fun stuff, you have the general free training stuff, and you're giving people free content, trying to entice them in, trying to engage them. Then you do the more funny stuff that leads to other things, you know what I mean? And what I've tried to do with the fitness stuff is we've done some highly produced, highly polished stuff. You know, sometimes works, but doesn't seem to get the same level of engagement as the funniest stuff does. So, you know, the more personable training videos and things I'm looking to do a bit more of, you know, trying to do the refined, polished stuff doesn't necessarily work very well for us. I think until you get to a level and perhaps you break out of your usual stream. You know, so if I was doing stuff for TV or I had a bigger following or a different platform, some more polished stuff might work. But in the pool that I'm fishing in, it appears that, you know, the different variety of videos is what I'm trying to aim to do, and they become quite popular. But it is, I try to be, you know, every day, because I run the whole thing myself. I do it via my phone, or I edit the videos myself or whatever, and I literally try to think to myself, right, what did I do yesterday? Did a quite hard sell. Let's do something fun today. Let's go back and put a training and try and do that every day. You know, make my Tuesdays and Thursdays my more light-hearted days. Like I've got a video of Chloe and I from some stuff we did the other evening, and we're gonna, you know, put that out there. And then tomorrow I'll go more training, and that's the kind of plan I have really.
So you mix it up. You mix up the film. You mix up the way that you amplify it to the audience. Because some people have told me that your funny videos are funny.
Yeah, I mean,
some people have.
Yeah, I know. But your judgment's not the best because you don't think you look like Michael McIntyre. I think maybe you're missing.
You did do a funny video once.
Yeah,
there was a funny one.
There's been a few. Look,
early 2000s.
Look, there's no point giving it to the big man now. When you get off the camera, you're like, oh, Hass, mate, can we be friends? Give us an autograph. Or, you know, do you mind if you come round to my house? I'm like, please, this is strictly business. I don't know you. We're going to walk away. We'll never. Well, absolutely not. So, mate, would I be friends with someone who works in the corporate world? Absolutely not, let alone Michael McIntyre.
Really in the corporate world, if you find out wear jeans.
Well,
really
I'm arty. One next stop, you'll be growing a beard and they'll be in Shoreditch with an edgy haircut. We're in media. We don't conform. No, so I try to balance that kind of stuff out, really.
So, James, tell us a little bit how you create different video for different channels.
So obviously I've engaged with different channels, you know, again, I said my old man, he was very much, you know, throw a lot of mud and see what sticks where. I think if you look at the people who are successful in different platforms, and they're all different, you rarely find someone who's successful across the entire range of social media profiles. Like the YouTubers, very specific to YouTube, their videos are a lot longer these days. You know, you're looking at 15 to 20 minutes. That kind of vlog thing, people want to look inside people's lives. I think I've kind of shied away a little bit for doing too much stuff on YouTube because it seems it involves eating chilies, punching yourself in the face, throwing yourself off stuff, hurting yourself, and letting inane people comment and then do what people in the comments say. So platform-wise, I think Twitter's the most toxic environment that you face from anything you do because I think it's the original social media platform. It's the thing that most people gravitate to first and foremost. I find that you get a lot of negativity on Twitter, and then Instagram's a lot more friendly, different kind of audience there. You know, again, they've gone from the 15 seconds to a minute videos. I try to make sure that all my videos, apart from the YouTube ones, are about a minute long, so they fit across all platforms. I've got quite a cool app called Grabio that you're able to filter out to everything. So, and it cuts it down to the appropriate size to go on the different platforms. So that's how I manage it from my phone. Facebook, interestingly enough, much more engagement comments wise. I find that for me, a lot of people have Facebook profiles. They have that bigger generation across there. You know, that's what people remember when you're building a social media platform, when you're putting all your eggs into one basket. For me, my audience is very social media orientated. Those are the people who log in. The older generation, a lot of people don't know anything about social media. My old man's had to learn about it. My mum's had to learn about it. You know, a lot of people don't have that. So if you put all your eggs into a basket as a business of going down social media, you're alienating a lot of customers. Whereas Facebook, for me, a lot of different generations, a lot of comments, a lot of older people on there finding their feet. It's kind of a friendly thing. You have a lot more engagement on that kind of platform. So the videos I put on there can be slightly longer, along with my YouTube videos. Instagram, as I said, is short. Twitter, through this app, you can actually put longer videos out there. But I think my favourite platforms are probably Instagram and Facebook. You know, Twitter I do because I've got a big profile there and it's a general thing. But, you know, in order I'd go, you know, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter.
And do you create, you talked a bit about generations and ages, and that's quite interesting because your market, you say, is predominantly 90% male between 18 to 42. Do you tend to try to produce your film or your video in a slightly different way for the older generation or do younger want more hip hop? They want to see you stripped off.
Don't ever do that thing again. Don't ever go.
What about in your budgie smugglers when you were doing your road
Don't
to
ever
recovery?
go hip hop. You're showing your age. Oh, you like that? You like that hippity hop, James? No, I think it's a very difficult one because I've got a lot of young fans as well. Instagram, interestingly, is a lot more younger fans than anyone else. They're the ones who message me a lot more. I get sales through Instagram. I get a lot more questions from younger people through Instagram. Older generation, I don't really factor them in too much, other than hopefully my delivery and the way I am is slightly higher level than anyway. You know, I'm never going to be a KSI on YouTube where you're kind of shouting, laughing, shouting about boobs, playing video games. It's not my kind of thing, which appeals to that younger generation. I sit very firmly in the middle where if you want it to be slightly more highbrow and understand it and get some of the proper lessons from it, you will do. If you want to see it because of the budgie smugglers or the funniness or the stupidness or the crudeness of some of them, then that's what you'll get your quick fix. So I try to make sure that I'm true to myself and I deliver a decent message across the board. But I don't make custom videos for people, but I do make certain posts aimed at younger people. And I sometimes come across, because in a couple of videos I might swear, I might be a bit laissez-faire about whatever it is I'm doing. And I understand there's younger people looking at me, but you can't. Like a brand like Lloyd's has to cater, everyone has to be seen to be doing the right things all the time, like the RFU do. But that's why I've written a rugby book that explains for young kids how to train. That's why I always reply to these young kids, telling them to do these things. That's why I've tried to make sure I balance out the message across the board, and my website's very clear, very easy for people to follow. So inadvertently I cater for it, but I don't go out my way to.
James, thanks so much for your time today. But just before we go, would you sign one of these for a local charity?
I thought something like this might be coming.
Well, you know, got to maximise our...
Yeah, I mean, if this is going to Lloyd's corporate people, I definitely want to cut. You know it's going to cost you like more, you know that.
Obviously, yeah.
I mean, obviously I do a lot of work for charity, don't I talk about it, so there we are.
Thank you very much for your time, James.
No problem, mate.
Superb,
My pleasure.
mate. Thank you. Cheers for your time, James. You're a star. Thank you
My
very
pleasure.
much. I hope you're back to playing at full fitness as soon as
Anytime.
possible, mate.
Anytime. Anytime. I'm not going to let your hand go. Just keep awkwardly doing that. See how long I can keep going. You're like,
Those are the awful ones. If people want to do a brochure with
Yeah.
websites, they're saying, what about if we have a nice photo on the front of like your handshake? Really? Do we need a handshake on that?
creepy.
Creepy.